So, I shot him in the kneecap with a Roman candle. So
I'm not taking your noops. I'm not
yeah,
touching your noop.
yeah, and
Welcome back to the show,
thank
Latasha.
you for having me.
Number two, back again, and did you just celebrate an anniversary? What did I see you put
Um,
about
right
recently?
now I'm at 2 years, 3 months, and some days.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, and now was this your first Christmas out?
Yes. In a
'Cause
long time.
I know you did some time. I know you did a couple of years before. We talked about that. So this is the first time
Yeah.
you've been able to be home for Christmas in a few years. Then.
Yes. I've been in and out of jail and wilding out. So
Yeah,
yeah, pretty. Yeah.
yeah, and on top of that, so you were sober in jail the last stint you did. I know that's when your sobriety started. So you've been sober for Christmases before, but this is the first
Yeah.
time that you're sober for Christmas and home. There's nobody
Out of
telling you what to
yeah.
do.
Right.
How is
Yeah.
that different this time? I mean, obviously, besides the bars and the freedom, you know what I mean? How's that different for your psyche with your sobriety? Because you can get high inside too. So, it's not
Yeah.
even about that. We know it's even easier because everyone's a criminal inside. It's even easier
Right.
to find the people. So,
Right.
how is this going to be different? How are you getting through the holidays so far? We're almost through this. We're halfway through December. So, how you been getting through? You know what I mean? What have you been doing?
I'm in drug court. Been going to classes, meetings. Just reaching out to people, my sponsor, and just reaching out to the recovery community.
That's
Just
the best thing. That's almost
putting
like
my
it's
butter
almost
and work
like
in.
yeah, it's almost like somebody gave you those suggestions and you listen to them and you're following them.
Right.
'Cause that's exactly what you should be doing: reaching out,
Yeah.
seeing who needs help, how can I help here, talking, going to meetings, fulfilling your responsibilities with drug court. People think when we say, "Oh yeah, I was on drug court," right? A lot of people are on drug court and they don't show. When we're
Right.
talking about going to drug court, it's because we're doing the thing. We're showing up for ourselves. We're showing up for them when we're handling our responsibilities. There's a lot of
Right.
people that are skipping out on drug court, right now.
Oh yeah.
You know, you
Most
know.
definitely.
So, just because you're on drug court doesn't mean that anything, because you could be breaking it just like anybody always does. So that's awesome. That's commendable. You're just showing up, and plus
Yeah.
you're working too. You've been busy with work too, so that's
Yeah.
cool. That's like it's a good thing. It's almost like people get so busy like buying gifts that they have to go eat out. You know what I mean? Just to get the fuck out of the house for a little bit.
Right.
So
Yeah.
now the last time we talked, when we were done, you had quite a story the first time we talked, but you said you had, not that you people gotta understand, when you're watching us and we're talking about our stories, there's a lot of things
Mm.
that we leave out and it's not on purpose. You know,
Right.
there's a lot of things that we forget about in the moment between nerves, and also, just flat out we forget. Flat out we forget things that happen because we try to black them out. And then we start doing that retrospect. We start watching the tape back of what we just put out there, like our interview, and you're like, hey, I forgot this and I forgot that, I forgot this. And I'm like, it's all
Right.
right. You'll get a second chance. That's the whole point. We're never done telling our story, and that's the
Right.
important thing that I try to tell people, especially like I do this, for a living, basically. I talk to people all day long. You're the, third podcast I did today, and I got two more left, So like I
Yeah.
do this all day long. I'm used to just put my shit out there and it is what it is. And sometimes I feel like I repeat myself. Right now, people that listen to all my episodes are shaking their heads like, "Yeah, motherfucker, you repeat yourself." And
Yeah.
and but
Yeah.
guess what? Sometimes I need to because sometimes you're sending out our interview to a bunch of people that's never even seen me before. And I don't want people to be watching, your interview to hear your story and then me just be like a blank void. So yeah,
Right.
I'm going to repeat stuff. I'm going to repeat stories and I'm going to repeat things. And the reason I have to do that also is because I want my guests to feel at ease. I need you to
Yeah.
feel comfortable to talk. And I'm not the kind of guy that can shut up. I don't know how to shut up. I don't know how to stop
Yeah.
talking. So,
Right.
I'm not going to edit myself. And if I repeat the same stories and you're tired of listening to them, then you can tune out, man. Because I'm
Yeah.
going to keep having to relate to people. I want, my guests to feel comfortable when they're talking. And the only way they're going to feel comfortable is if they know I've done some crazy shit with them. Not with them, but
Yeah.
like them.
Right.
So, what was the one big thing that like stuck out in your mind? Like, I wish I could have talked about that and I forgot to.
Being thrown out of, I've been thrown out of a moving car, been thrown out of a car, trying to help people, and
All right. Well, let's stop there. Let's start there then. So, you know, for people that are listening, you're not a small gal to throw out of a car, Latasha. You're not no 70-pound. So what's going on that you can just get tossed out of a car?
well, I met this guy one night, and he was trying to find some drugs and stuff like that. And my thing was like the quickest thing to get something or whatever. I used to go to gas stations and be like, let me get 2 cartons of Newport. I would lie and say, I had a aunt as a bootlegger, and you know, when they gave me the put the cartons of Newports on the counter, I would tell them let me get some cigars, and like when they turned around to get the cigars, I would run out the store with the cigarettes. So I'm the guy that I met. He was giving me a ride or whatever, and like he was so anxious for me to go ahead and sell him so I can get the crack or whatever. And I wasn't ready because I had my mind set on one person that I want to sell it to already. So he was impatient or whatever. So he got out the driver's seat. I was sitting behind him in a pickup truck, and like he just picked me up and he just slung me across the yard. Like I went sliding or whatever. And he tried to jump in the car and back up. And like when he was backing up, like the back window was down. I had tried to jump through the window to get the Newports, and I fell
You gotta
back
get
or
my
whatever.
noobs.
Yeah. So yeah, he ended up getting away, And when I saw him the next time, I don't know if you know the Roman candle that you hold or whatever. So I lit one of those and I pointed to his kneecap and I shot him in it. Cause like I still had a bruise on my knee or whatever. So I wanted him to feel the pain that I felt. So I shot him in the kneecap with a Roman candle. So
I'm not taking your noobs. I'm not touching your noob.
yeah, and I promise you, he did. He apologized and
Yeah, well, I'm sure he
well,
was on his knees. I'm sure he was on his knees apologizing. On,
yeah,
oh fuck, I'm
yeah,
sorry, I'm sorry.
yeah, yeah,
But yeah, so you were basically you were just so people that are the normies that are listening. What she's saying is you stole the cartons, then you were selling the cartons for cash to somebody else that was like, yeah, I'll take a carton for $30, and then
yeah,
that cash is then what you turn into crack money.
yeah.
Okay, just I that's what I figured, but there's also a lot of people that watch and listen that they're normies. They don't know criminal shit.
Right.
They don't know the hustle until they watch us talk about it. They're like, no, that's just not in movies. Yeah, no, that's just what happens. Like, you
Yeah.
always wait, and that trick that's been going on for as long as I can remember. I always think one of my favorite movies growing up was this movie Sleepers, and it's like this true story about these kids that grew up like in New York City in Hell's Kitchen, and they end up having to go to a boys' home because they did some criminal shit together. But the
Yeah.
crime they used to always commit together was they would go up to the hot dog vendor in New York, and the one
Mhm.
kid, he would be asking for all the stuff on the hot dog, and then he would ask for extra napkins. And as soon as he asked for extra napkins, he would take off with the hot dogs. The guy would turn his back.
Yeah.
And then the guy had two choices: to chase after that one hot dog, or leave his stand, or let the hot dog go. So if he would chase
Right.
that kid, then the other friends run up, and then they're just feasting.
Yeah.
So I remember that story. It sticks in my head so much, and that was in the 50s. So
Yeah.
people doing that move, oh yeah, and one more thing, and as soon as they turn their back, you're out that
Yeah.
door.
Yeah, man.
Can't go back to that gas station for a minute.
Yeah. Well, I have been in every gas station that I have went to. I have been in there, and like they probably don't recognize me. And
Yeah, you know what? And then when I said that, getting thrown out of a car, now I'm starting to picture your before picture. And
Mhm.
you were getting down there when you were using. You weren't eating, and you were just straight up eat. Your body was eating
Yeah.
itself. You were emaciated
Yep.
by like. For those who are watching this for the first time, I'll pop up on the screen right now, what the before was in the original one. And, you're killing it now compared to what that picture was when you went in that mugshot. You're just like
Yeah.
just miserable as fuck. They just knew
Yeah,
that you.
yeah, yeah. It
Yeah,
feels pretty good.
yeah. Well, it has to. Like people get upset when they get sobered and they put on some weight, and it's like, why? This is
Yeah,
what it's. This is healthy. This is
yeah.
just this is showing that you're eating. This is showing that you're doing the right thing and you're not trying to be somebody you're not. Like that is unhealthy.
Right,
And people just and it's streetwalkers. That's what some of them called sometimes because all you do is walk them down the street. It's usually because you're being trafficked, at the same time. I just did a panel with a bunch of girls in Ohio and some of them were trafficked together, and it's wild to think about that these girls that they're just being told just from, and it's a lot of them are women are trafficking too,
yeah,
like older women, like they wouldn't expect, you think it's just some grandma next
right,
door, but really that grandma's an evil bitch. And
yeah.
because I know the two of them, they were trafficked by a couple in their 50s,
Mm,
and it's no, you would think this couple, and no, they're just turning out, people, us at addicts,
right,
they know we're vulnerable. And especially women, they know that they can take advantage of them. They know that they can whisper those sweet little, like, I'm not going to ever have even an addiction that never happened to me where a trafficker walks up to me and says, hey, I can help you make some money. They're not going to say
right,
that to me. But, if you're a female, you got to be careful because whenever someone's saying they can help you make some money, they mean they're going to help themselves make money off you.
right. Most
You know,
definitely.
did you get stuck
Yeah,
up in that too? Were you trafficked?
yeah, yeah. Most definitely, I did. I was in it and for like a couple months, and then I was like, forget this. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to make my own. Like, I'm going to be my own people and make my own money. So I won't have a middleman. So I get all of it.
Yeah, but doing that, is it more dangerous because they don't like that you're doing that, right?
Yeah,
Did that
yeah.
cause
And
anything where like,
I did get held up at gunpoint with one of them, and
can you tell me about
one
it?
of the dudes, one of the dudes, like I said before, that was one of the dudes I was with who kidnapped me, raped, and beat me. Yeah. So
How long did
yeah.
you know this dude to kidnap you?
Um, probably like 2 days.
Okay, so you knew him 2 days, but in an addict world, 2 days is a long time. You know,
Yeah.
people gotta understand that too. When you're meeting somebody that's like minded, and you're getting high with them, that two
Hmm.
days it feels like a while. Because you're
Right.
already connected over something that's so against everybody else that you
Yeah.
have like this weird bond, right? I remember being, in addiction and meeting other people in addiction, and you have an instantaneous bond with that person. It's honestly the
Hmm.
same shit that you and I had when we met in recovery. We're still the same
Right.
people that we were in addiction, except we don't drink or drug.
Right.
So, I always say people at the bar, when you go to AA meetings, it's the same people that you see at the bar, except for they got coffee in front of them instead of they got beer in front of them. We're the
Yeah.
same people. It's the same
Right.
stories being told.
Hmm.
So, you get this weird bond. It's like a trauma bond where you're trauma
Right.
bonding over being an addict. So it's not surprising that you can get caught up, with somebody within 2 days to where they're going to, do some heinous shit because you're going
Hmm.
to have that trust already because I already trust you because you're an addict like me. Right.
Yeah.
So that kind of like giving my will over to you because I trust you is a vulnerable thing, and unfortunately, it got taken advantage of.
Hmm.
So did that dude ever get caught up and have to do time for any shit? Did you? This episode is sponsored by MJ's Progress Not Perfection Meeting Center Association. We are in our meeting center where we do all these meetings for mental health and addiction. I can do this podcast anywhere. I can do this at home. I can do this in a closet. I can do this in a basement. It doesn't matter. All I need is somebody else to talk to about addiction and recovery. What I can't do from anywhere is help people with their addiction and their mental health problems. So if you can help out, we do have a Venmo, we have a Cash App, we have a PayPal, we have an address you can send a check to, and all the money that gets donated goes towards rent, goes towards keeping the lights on, and goes towards keeping the internet on. So please, if you can give $5, $10, $20, it doesn't matter. Anything you can is so appreciated. And if you are a local business, if you're a national business, whatever, and you want to be a part of what we're doing, you can reach out to me.
and we can talk about how you can be a sponsor. But I'll let you get back to the episode.
No, because back then I wasn't the type, to tell, you
Yeah,
know, because
I wasn't
what
sure if
goes
the
on.
street. I wasn't. Oh, yeah, I wasn't sure if the streets took care of him.
Yeah. Well, I had one dude after him, but I don't know if he ever caught up with him.
Yeah,
But
I mean, it's it is not
I,
for the faint of heart. Being an
yeah,
addict, it is not easy.
I ended up seeing him. One day, me and my fiance was at a restaurant. I ended up seeing him, and like he was looking at me, and then when he decided to get up and go get some food, like we was in a buffet or whatever, and I got up just to show him, I'm not that person no more. If you try me, you know what I'm saying, you gonna get it. But
So
he didn't say anything. He
you
just kept
you
his
think
head.
you think he recognized you? He give you
He recognized me.
he give you a look like he knew you.
Yeah, he knew me. Yeah, he knew exactly who he was talking to. He just, I guess, the way I look then and the way I look now, and like just the
Well, he
him
knew that
thinking,
that's not you. He knew that that
yeah,
wasn't you then. I mean,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
I'm full up now.
what's that?
I'm full up now. Like don't try it. Yeah,
Yeah, well, and we wear it on our face too. We're smiling these days. We laugh.
yeah,
And we don't. And I say this all the time, but we don't laugh with our heads anymore. When we get
right,
sober, we start laughing with our body again. We start feeling the
right,
laughter again. When we're in addiction and someone says something funny, we can hear it. We can process it. We know that's funny, and we can say, "Laugh, motherfucker." And you go, "Ha ha ha,"
right,
and then you give them that laugh. This way, they don't think you're fucking weird. But like
right.
until you get fully sober and you start feeling all those emotions, one of those emotions you start feeling again is laughter. It was one of the
Hmm.
best feelings I ever had when I started feeling myself laugh with my stomach again. When I started
Yeah.
feeling the laughter in my stomach, that's when
Hmm.
you're really like you're turning a corner of some good shit. What was
Right.
the first thing you noticed about like, talking about my body, my stomach, like what was one of the first things you noticed like that kind of change? What was it the laughter? What was it that you started noticing about yourself in sobriety? Even though you were in jail, what was
Hmm.
something you noticed that really kept you going to want more?
You want more sobriety? Like
Yeah.
one more clean
Yeah, like
time?
I
Like
want more of
gaining,
this.
yeah, like gaining my weight back, and like just the fact that I ain't gotta worry about chasing the next high and thinking so much of like what I'm gonna do to get that next rock. And it was just a good feeling. It still is a good feeling, but it just felt real good. Look in the mirror and not just see bones like a skeleton. Just I look good. You know.
Yeah, and just for a little quick recap, I'm thinking there's a lot. You were on 3 months ago. I've had a lot more subscribers now, so a lot more people are watching you. So give a little like, what was your drug of choice?
It was crack. I tried meth one time. That didn't work out. I
What? Wait,
did pills.
stop. Let's wait. Why didn't that work out? Because why didn't meth work
Um,
out?
'Cause, like I tried to hit it. Like I was smoking crack and like I hit it. I guess I hit it too hard and I just threw up everywhere. Like and then I got real lightheaded and yeah, I just didn't want it.
It's
I
funny
didn't.
though, but you say you didn't want it because I myself and I talked to a bunch of people even this morning where we did oxy and we threw up and then we wanted it more. So
Yeah,
it just goes to show you that you really didn't want it.
yeah.
Like it
I
wasn't for you.
Yeah, I just even I don't know if I didn't know how to pull it right or what, but it just did not sit right with me.
That would know what that sounds like? Because like honestly, there's three drugs I've never done. It's crack, heroin, and meth.
Right.
And I don't know exactly the differences, but I would imagine that crack is a little bit more of a downer version of meth, right? Where it gets you up and then it gets you down too. But meth is
Um.
more of like up, you know,
Yeah.
and it might have actually been, at the end of the day, your higher power doing for you what you couldn't do for yourself, with that
Right.
meth, because that meth could have really taken you even worse, right? You could
Right.
have been like, ah, fuck it, I threw up, let's do it again, roll it back
Yeah.
up, let's do it again, I'm gonna go
Right.
again, and I'm gonna
Right.
get this, and then next thing you know, now you're hooked on meth and going through crazy psychosis. So
Right.
that sounds to me like that was just definitely your higher power intervening and saying, "No, you got enough on your plate, girl. You don't need meth too." So,
Yeah.
but you dipped and dabbed with opiates a bit, but that was just to put you to sleep, right? Because you're up all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. Right. Mhm.
But
Yeah.
you're the one I talked to that really didn't get into shit until your 20s, right? You were a late bloomer.
Yeah. Yeah.
I- but you went down fast. It's like you were a late bloomer, and then it was like you hit the top. It was like you were on one of those roller coasters, and then all of a
Yeah.
sudden you hit that hill and you went straight.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what happened. Yeah.
And then now you're on the fun part of the ride. Now you're on that
Yeah.
part of the ride where we can talk about it, and you're laughing. We can,
Yeah.
you
I talk about it to everybody. I work at Waffle House, and like I talk to everybody. I don't care who it is, man. Like it's so much gratitude with my sobriety. Like I can laugh about it, and just just show people like that's not the way to go. Like it really isn't.
Yeah, and the further we get away from it, the more we can laugh, and the more therapeutic it is to laugh. Because what else can you really do? Be mad about it, be upset
Yeah.
about it, hold resentments against yourself over it. Listen, we did what we did, and
Yeah.
I've said before, I firmly believe if I didn't make every one of those little steps that I made in addiction, I might not be sitting here right now. I did
Right.
what I had to do to survive in that very moment. We always say 1 day at a time. Like, fuck,
Yeah.
that was 1 minute at a time.
Right.
My addiction was 1 minute at a time. Now I'm
Yeah.
slowing it down to 1 day at a time. But
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, 'cause how old are you now? You're yeah,
32.
32,
Mm-hmm.
and you started in your early 20s, and so you went hard for like almost a decade, like almost all your 20s, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Now I do have a question. How when you put out that when I put out that first episode, how was the response from like family and friends?
They loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah. They really loved it. Yeah.
A lot of times family has some sore spots about the things that we talk about. You know what I mean? Especially so openly. And I know personally, like it's hard for even my parents to watch my show.
Hmm.
Because they're so normies when it comes down to it that it's hard for them to even hear some of the stories and know this is real life. And it's hard for them to know
Right.
some of the shit I had to go through. So it's
Mm.
cool that you got that kind of response of
Yeah.
like,
Cause
support.
I don't really talk to my family or anything. So if they hear something about what has happened in my past, they're going to hear it from here. Cause I'm not the type like I'm trying to get there to like really open up and stuff like that. So if they hear
Yeah.
anything that has happened, this is how they're gonna hear it.
Have you been on that path yet of maybe finding some sponsees soon? Because I know you're working like a hard program.
I had a sponsee. I ended up moving into the same Oxford house as she. So we couldn't be the same be in the same
Yeah.
house and I'd be her sponsor. Yeah. So she had to find another sponsor.
Yeah,
But
that's
yeah,
fine.
yeah.
How was that feeling of somebody coming up to you for the first time and being like, "Hey, I want what you have. Will you
It
sponsor
felt
me?"
great. My sponsor actually referred her to me. So
Yeah, but
but yeah,
still, that firsthand from asking a sponsor the first time. It's like asking
yeah,
somebody out on a date. It's like asking somebody in a relation. It's like you're skipping the fucking dates. Be my boyfriend. Be my girlfriend.
yeah,
You're skipping all that because it is a relationship of like trust and honesty that you have to have with that sponsor. You
right,
can't do an honest step 4 or 5 if you don't trust that person. I could have never told somebody my fifth step. You know what I
right,
mean? If I didn't trust you, you
right.
know, like, so, it's the first time I had somebody ask me, it was just like, what? You want what I have?
Hmm.
Like, you want to learn something I have? Okay, I guess,
Yeah,
I'll talk to you. We'll see what we can do.
right,
And then when you start looking back, you're like, oh, I remember being like that broken, and that feeling of surrendering to be like, because that's where I think the rock bottom is. You
right.
know, I think people right now, I think people will go to my meetings and maybe even in your meetings that still
Mhm.
haven't hit their rock bottom because they're not
Yeah,
working a program. They're not doing
right,
anything for their sobriety except for not drinking or drugging, which is
right.
good. That's the bare minimum we ask for in sobriety. Just don't
Uh-huh.
drink or drug. That's like step one. Like, no, it's not really
Right.
step one. I shouldn't say steps. That
Yeah,
that's step A.
yeah,
But like really, that's where you start at. But once you start stopping, once you stop starting, I should say, once you stop starting to pick up the drugs, then it's about finding new solutions to things,
Right.
finding out why we drank and drugged, why we went on for so long, why it took me long. I mean, you went to jail, got out, went right back into it, right? It wasn't
Yeah.
until your second stint that you got it.
Yeah. My very last one, yes.
And yeah, I remember you telling me that story of you driving down a median, like as a fake
Yeah.
Uber.
Yeah. That day I was trying to find another way to make money and stuff, and the bus was running that late. It was on a Sunday, and so I stopped at a bus stop, and I was like, if you got $5, I'll go ahead and take it to your destination, so I get 3 people at a time. And I was on Ashley Phosphate, and I picked up one dude. He was smoking his weed, and there was a lot of traffic, and I had went down the median, and no Charleston went the opposite way and made a U-turn. That was it.
Yeah, they don't like. Yeah, you can't go down medians.
Yeah, and I
My
didn't
man,
make it. I wasn't in the median for like 2-3 seconds, and they got me, boy. I tried to act like I was going to the gas station.
it's funny. I thought of you the other day too, because my wife and I are rewatching Shameless. That show
Yeah,
Shameless, and that's at one point that one of the boys, one of the Gallaghers, he's trying to make some extra money, so he starts doing that fake Uber in like
yeah.
Southside Chicago. He's pulling up people. Hey, you waiting for Uber? They're like, yeah. He goes, $5 cheaper. You hop in. Okay.
Yeah,
And I pause it. I'm like, oh, I don't know if you saw this episode with Latasha, but I know somebody
yeah,
who did this. And I
yeah.
pulled up,
It
yeah,
was
because when you
for a
told me that
second.
story, I cut it up and I made it into a TikTok and a reel and shit. So I pulled it up real fast for my wife to show her. I'm like, see, she did this shit too.
Yeah, yeah,
Except
man.
ironically, that kid was doing it on Shameless so he could make money for military school. And now here you are. You're like, I just need some crack.
Yeah,
Like, just need to smoke some crack.
yeah,
Like, because I think a lot of people don't think that crack is as prevalent as it still is, right? I think people forgot about, like, and when I say people, I mean, normies, and I mean people that aren't in addiction. Like even the cops, they're not even fucking with as much as the opiates. It's the
yeah,
fentanyl everybody's concerned with. So it's like everything has taken a back seat. Fentanyl is now what crack was in the 80s, right?
yeah,
Like, and I even had, do you know Jeff? You probably know Jeff. Yeah, everyone knows fucking Jeff Vickers.
yeah,
Sober
yeah,
slogan, my man Jeff. You know,
yeah,
you two are the ones that had some crazy crack stories for me out of like 80 interviews I've done. It was
yeah,
used to that, he was old school though, 80s in New York City, and yours is more southern, different kind of school shit. But he got caught
yeah,
up with that shit in Atlanta too. So he
yeah,
was definitely part of it in the South too. But I remember him telling me a story about getting arrested at the same bodega within 3 years of each other, like for
yeah,
stealing shit at a bodega, and then he did time and got out, got high again, stole shit, and the same cops
yeah.
arrested him at the same bodega. And
Like
like they were
repeat.
arresting him, and they had him in handcuffs. And they're like, "Man, I'm having deja vu. Have we arrested you before?" And he's like, "Yeah, you arrested me here 3 years ago.
Yeah,
Just take me to jail. I'm guilty."
yeah,
Like
yeah,
that
man.
shit. Like again, we have to laugh. And I had somebody say to me before, like, "You feel like insensitive because you laugh at people's stories a lot." I'm like, I'm laughing because I'm relating. Like, you don't
Yeah,
know. Like, when you go to the rooms, when you go to AA, it's not dark and you go to NA, it's not dark and dreary. We're laughing. We're
right.
smiling. We're happy as shit to be there because we know where else we could be. And the
Right.
fact that I'm in a room with
It's
a bunch of
locked up.
people that are as fucked up as I am in their minds, just because we're not drunk or high doesn't mean we're not fucked up in our minds. And to be in
Yeah,
that group conscious of people that are laughing with me, like that was my higher power for a while with the rooms. That laughter
right.
that kept going. I wanted to chase. I'm a fucking comedian that forgot how to laugh. I was doing
Yeah,
stand-up comedy and didn't know how to laugh anymore until I got sober, and then I was like, I was doing it wrong.
yeah,
I was doing it wrong.
yeah. I
How
am
how are
thankful that I haven't never been locked up for a drug, having drugs in my possession or paraphernalia. The first time I thought I was gonna get locked up, I had just left somewhere and I was turning down a road. I was riding with somebody turning down the road. She forgot to use her signal, and the police pulled us over or whatever, got us out of the car. He was like, "Do you have anything on you?" I was like, "Sir, I'm gonna tell you right now." And it was a male. I was like, "I'm gonna tell you right now. I have a pipe right here, and I got crack or whatever." And so I said, "I'm just lifting up my shirt because you know how they get you moving all type of ways." So I lift my shirt up and got the pipe out my bra and put it on top of his car and like I don't know if that was God or whoever it was, but he just happened to get an emergency call and he was like, "Get your stuff off the hood of the car and go ahead. Don't let me catch you again." And I was like, "Huh?" Like I used to get away with my crack in my pipe.
he got a call to a bus that he couldn't let go. You know what I mean? He's like, fuck these girls. They're just gonna get high anyway. They're not hurting anybody. They're just hurting themselves. I gotta take care of this shit right here.
Yeah. I was like, thank God, boy.
Now I can't remember, and I don't think we even got into it much. That mugshot. That mugshot. I know that mugshot isn't from that last time you got sober in jail. That mugshot's from that time you went to jail and then didn't stay sober, right?
That was the day I had got pulled over from fake Uber.
That was that fake Uber?
Yeah, I was up like 2 months, bro.
You say you were up? Like awake?
Up. Yeah, I was awake. Just going. Nonstop.
How was the psychosis with that?
What do you mean?
Did you have to deal like I got a sponsee right now and his record was 32 days awake straight on meth. Mm-hmm. So he started experiencing crazy psychosis around day 4 and that shit lasted the entire time. But a lot of it was meth-induced psychosis. But as an insomniac, I know the psychosis that you can go through without just sleeping, just even sober. Like, because, I'm sober, but I still have problems with my sleep. So I still can have instances where, like, I hear shit that I don't, or I see shit that I don't. And it only means, like, remember yesterday we were talking, I was like, I need to try to lay the fuck. I didn't fall asleep till 3 a.m., Latasha. That was, you know what I mean? That was 6 p.m. I'm like, I'm dead tired. I can't keep my eyes open. I just got to go home. And what happens, like always, is I just lay there. It's not like I was being crazy. We watched Tommy Boy. You know what I mean? We watched comedies and some Bob's Burgers and shit. And I still, 3 a.m. is when I fell asleep. Yeah. And I woke up at 5:30 and I came to the office and I've been here all day. And it's because I don't know. I'm not good at it yet. I'm still trying to fix my sleep patterns. The drugs were fixing it for a while, but
I be having problems sleeping too. I take like 3 melatonins and that happens to put me to sleep. So, and then when I don't take it, it's like I'm woke. It's crazy.
Yeah. Now, how much time do you still have at the Oxford house before you get to be living with your fiance again?
It's probably when I phase up to 3.
The drug court.
Yeah.
When you graduate drug court into like the next step.
I'm still in phase 1. I should be phased up to 2 in January.
How do the phases work down in South Carolina?
It just depends on like how you're working it and like how good you're doing and stuff like that.
Like consistency, basically, like showing up for a certain meeting, like how many meetings you're hitting, plus as long as you're not getting in trouble.
Right.
And then for a certain amount of time, they want to see consistency. And then, and there's 3 phases you got to go through?
It's 4.
There's 4, okay.
Yeah, I BS'd them the first time, like in the beginning. But, I was like, this is easy, like just going to class 3 days a week and, just talking and opening up. And it's pretty cool. But I didn't want to be in there forever. But it's all right. Drug court is what got me to open up more, because I wasn't the type of person to talk about anything. Like people got their own. I was thinking, people got their own problems. Like what they look like caring about what I got going on. You know what I'm saying? So, but it's a pretty cool program. I'm thankful.
Yeah, because obviously, it got you to open up, and as soon as you start opening up, you start connecting with people. You can't, you can't connect with somebody just by sitting there and staring at them. You got to find that commonality.
Oh,
You
yeah,
know, and just even doing this is a huge. I mean, obviously, we both know like this is not the easiest thing to do, and sit down and be vulnerable. And
yeah,
especially when it's not going to be in front of, like, you're at a podium and you see the faces that are looking at you when you're sharing. This is just like post and go, and
yeah.
just hope you don't get any hate. And you got so much love. Like, I'm talking like comments on your first video, likes on that first video, views on that first video.
Right,
Retention's important. It means people are sticking around and watching your story.
right.
I post some videos and people don't stick around for the whole story.
Yeah,
It's almost like they hear what they wanted to hear and then they tune out. But yours had a really good retention too. So
yeah,
it meant people were hanging on. They wanted to know. They wanted to make sure you were good. They want to hear your story,
right.
and you're living it. You're literally living your recovery out loud. I see you posting all the time, like down to the day, like 2 months, 3 years, blah blah blah. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, that's another one. Like,
Yeah, I'm excited about it. I want people to follow my footsteps, like who having problems and stuff. I want them to know, like, you're not alone. It's really good to get clean. Like, you
have
won't regret
now
it.
and how many? You have one kid,
Yes, I have one biological son and two step kids.
two stepkids, and you get to see them for Christmas this year.
Yeah, I get to see two step kids, but I don't get to see
The
probably a
biological.
few videos. But
Well, the stepkids are with your fiance, right?
yeah,
Yeah, but still, you haven't had that kind of family connection, familial connection in what, since you were a teenager?
yeah,
Because you got right into it, and you weren't seeing family when you're on
yeah.
crack.
I'm not worried about family. I was worried about getting high.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
you weren't showing up to Christmas parties all like, yeah, I just smoked my pipe, I'm good. Like, no, it's not. You're staying out in the streets,
yeah. It
waiting for
don't
that
matter
next
if
one.
it was family's birthdays that I got invited to. I done lost a couple of family members. I refused to go to their funeral because I wanted to get high. Like, yeah,
And then and sorry about your luck. I know you just came from a funeral.
yeah,
But you show up today. Like we said with drug court, but you show up for people's emotional needs to fill them when they're not even yours directly anymore.
yeah. That family, it's not my biological family, but it's a family that when I was in addiction, is a my ex girlfriend's mom. It was her part of the family, but this lady, she, like, every time I need to take a shower, she let me go take a shower. She'll feed me and stuff like that. Like, she'll talk to me and encourage me or whatever. And I just had to go show her mom passed away, so I had to go show her support.
You never waited that shit a couple years ago, though. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? You
And
showed
they
up
looked
to
at
show
me like,
support.
dang, like, it's good for them to see me when I'm doing good. Because last time they saw me, I was a skeleton. So
Really? They hadn't seen
yeah,
you in that long until
yeah,
today?
mhm,
That is so cool. Like,
yeah,
it sucks, obviously the situation and the circumstances and the reason you're getting together. But I almost feel like people think about funerals the wrong way. When I say people, I even mean I used to. That was the worst thing you could ever have to do is go to one.
right,
But funerals are a part of life. And when you can start going to a funeral to celebrate life and not mourn it, that's
right,
when you can start healing. That's when you're healing. That's when it's like it's good to show up because, you know, when you're the direct family member of somebody that just died, it's nice to see somebody from 5 years ago that you never thought that you're like, holy shit, who is this?
yeah,
Who is this person? It's you forget where you are for a minute, and that's the
right,
whole point. You get to take them away from their pain for a minute because you showed up and they're just happy as fuck to see you.
yeah,
And because I know that feeling because that happened to me at 6 months.
mm,
My first 6 months when I had just taken a 6 month chip when one of my really good friends overdosed, right? And
right,
him and I, we were backyard neighbors for 12 years together. First grade through 12th, we shared a backyard fence, that kind of deal.
mm,
And we both got sober at the same time, except for I went to LA and he went to Florida. We were both from Jersey. And we would talk all the time on the phone. We would always call each other up. Hey, how you doing? You hitting a meeting? I'm walking to a meeting. And we would just call each other and bullshit.
Right.
And unfortunately, we both came back, and I was good, and then he passed on his relapse because of fentanyl. So
Yeah.
it all takes one now with fentanyl, people. It's
Yeah.
not a matter, the tolerance doesn't mean shit with fentanyl anymore. It's you don't know what's in there. You don't know how much is in there.
Yeah.
Barely a dusting will kill you. So like it's so touchy. But yeah, when he passed, I was devastated, obviously. But when I went to his funeral, I was trying to celebrate it more. I was trying to I was just happy to see his sister. I was happy
Mm.
to see his brothers, and his mom, and I hadn't seen him in years, and it reconnected me with his brother's doing awesome, and like he just hiked the Appalachian Trail and shit. Like he just ran the Philly Marathon, like doing a lot of really cool shit, and I got to connect with them again. They got to see me good, and they had the chance to feel better about the situation that they got put into. They had the chance to be like, okay, well, we lost him, but at least he's learning from him. At
Right.
least, and that's why I'm always gonna say it because it's so important that I want everybody to hear this. Is that sometimes people have to die so that we can live.
Most definitely.
Sometimes people have to teach us lessons that we don't want to learn, but we have to learn.
Oh yeah.
It's a matter of being willing to accept that lesson and just as what it is and learning from it and following suit to not go in that direction. And I never want to relapse just out of his name, just out of that lesson he taught me. That was one of the things that made me. I was hanging with somebody that night that I knew had pills, and I knew that wasn't gonna fix me.
Right.
And I've been through some dark shit lately. Even my wife got sick. She got diagnosed with MS,
Mm.
and it's